Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the show. This episode is brought to you by The Wellness Paradigm, a holistic health coaching company shifting the way that women understand and heal their bodies. Through bioenergetic testing, functional lab testing, and nutrition, we uncover what traditional approaches often overlook, so you can stop guessing, start healing, and finally feel like yourself again. No more one size fits all protocols, just real answers, deep rooted healing, and the clarity and confidence you deserve to feel incredible. It's time to shift the paradigm of women's health. Now, on to our show. And hello, good afternoon, Emily.
Hello, hello.
Nice to
Lovely
see.
to see you.
Yes, thank you for being here. And I was just joking, like her name is Emily Wisdom. And I'm like, wait, is that your actual real name? Like, that's so amazing, especially with what she does. But speaking of what she does, she is an entrepreneur coach and psychedelic-informed speaker who works primarily with spiritual-based startups. I know you work with other people, but who really want to integrate this, in her words, mystical experiences. So I'm really intrigued and curious about where this conversation is going to go, Emily. So, first of all, welcome to the show and give
Thank
us a little
you.
insight on why, like, how you weaved into becoming this entrepreneur coach and into psychedelics.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you for having me. And I just love that you never know what you're going to get with me. And that's part of the fun, I think. But what's coming up today?
Yep.
Um, yes. So I think I'll start back in my early 20s when I was like so convinced that my life's goal was to become a special agent for the FBI. And like that's all I wanted to do. That was like the dream. Ah, I just loved it. Um, so I went through that process, and it doesn't even quite matter why, but I applied 3 times. Eventually, I was disqualified, which is kind of funny in itself. But I digress. That process really shook me because I was like so sure. I was like, okay, this is what I'm doing. This is how I'm going to like focus all my energy. And so when it didn't happen and it didn't happen in the way that I thought that it should, I was devastated.
Yeah.
I was so shaken to my core. So it set me on this journey of like, okay, if my life is not about this pursuit of justice and like using my intelligence, my ability to get people to talk to me, if I'm not using that in this capacity for like law enforcement, like what am I going to do? Through a series of events that only the universe could orchestrate like that, I found psychedelics for the first time, and it changed my life. It changed how I related to myself, the world, through the concept of spirituality. And yeah, again, even that part has just been its own journey, like uncovering, okay, well, maybe we're all are all connected, and what does that mean if we are? And how does that influence someone who's starting a business? And how can we bring those two worlds really together in this truly holistic approach to business, which is mind, body, soul, all of it, like all of it being welcome, all of it being a part, and then the impact that that can have on the world. So it came from this super personal experience of despair,
Mm.
opening my eyes through psychedelics, bringing in my background with entrepreneurship, and then like, okay, how can we serve these groups? And sometimes these groups overlap entrepreneurs and people who have had these mystical experiences. How can we bring all that together? And here I am.
Hmm. So interesting because, I mean, the white elephant in the room is psychedelics are they tend to be more of a taboo topic, right? Like people don't want to talk about them, or if they do, it's a little more hush hush. And we were talking too just about like the legality of it too. And she lives in Colorado, which is fascinating that it's very just like open and widely talked about. And you can just, in your words, throw a stone to the nearest like psychedelic church. Um, but talk to me a little bit more about maybe the science or kind of like the background of psychedelics. Somebody's might have heard of it and maybe they think of it as, oh, I'm going to just go on this huge trip, right? And I would love to understand your point of view on psychedelics and how you kind of integrate it.
Mhm. So I credit my really useful, impactful experiences with psychedelics to all of the prep work that I didn't know that I was doing. So before I ever found my way to psychedelics, I had established a yoga practice, which really connected me with my body, with my breath. I had established a meditation practice that really helped me calm my mind, calm my nervous system, stay present, stay grounded. I had a creative practice, a journaling practice. I was in therapy. I had friends and family that I could rely on for support. So all of those made this beautiful nest for this psychedelic experience to sit in. And there are so many ways, and who am I to say what is the right way? But I will say what was right for me and how I prefer to do things is from a very ceremonial lens, a ritual lens, which means that there's a reason that I'm doing this. It's not necessarily just for play, although power to those people. If that is your thing, great. But for me, coming from like almost like a place of prayer, um, saying, hey, I have this thing going on in my life at the time for that first experience is I'm heartbroken. I'm devastated. This dream that I thought was like for sure didn't happen. What do I do? What do I do? And so it was really me being desperate for like some kind of answer or understanding that brought me there. And I went to somebody who was an established practitioner, somebody who is involved in some accountability circle for facilitators. They had safety protocols, they had guidelines. So it was all held so much in safety, which is very important. And again, all of those things, having that all set in place, made me feel super safe and prepared to go into the experience. So when we say psychedelics, that can be a lot of different things. For me, it was psilocybin mushrooms. And, you know, there's so many ways you can do it. You can work with it in a microdose, a hero's journey, a psycholytic dose. Like, what is your way? Great. Um, for me, being a sensitive soul in general, it didn't take too much for me to allow myself, because I had signed up for this experience, allow myself to really go into this space of kind of this mystical, ethereal realm. But it was still all me. And maybe some people have touched that space through more traditional avenues, like through meditation or through yoga or breath work, where you kind of get into this state where you're there, but you also have access to this other brain space, heart space. Same concept. Um, yeah, my encouragement to anyone who is learning about psychedelics is to please throw out all of the very, very old, damaging, and painful stories that have been told about psychedelics, right? Like maybe a teenager who doesn't know what they're doing and is alone and just munching on mushrooms. Maybe that's not the anecdote that we want to draw from, right? Like, why don't we look at people who are being really thoughtful? And actually, there's a huge move for women who are going through menopause discovering psychedelics for the first time. And it's in a very, again, ethical, safe, responsible way. And they're like, oh, wow, everything I knew or was told about psychedelics and how damaging they are is just not true. So I would say do research, do modern research. And if you do choose to have that sort of experience, have it be with somebody who knows the way and have it in a context where it is legal for you, whatever that means, because there are places where it is already legal. And that means that the facilitators have, again, that accountability, that training, and those safety protocols that ensure, as much as we can ensure an unknown experience, ensure safety.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of misconceptions. I mean,
Mhm.
even myself, like I had never even heard of this till I got into entrepreneurship and all these people were doing like these microdosing and I was like, what is this? Um, but so many of them were just saying, oh, it's just like it's been unlocking creativity, it's been unlocking just like energy or just, calmness or whatever that might be. So I'm curious from less of a ceremonial perspective and more of just like an, I don't say everyday, but like recreational, what are the sort of benefits that you have seen people having, um, you know, using them?
Yeah, I Love that question. And right, like there's no right or wrong way, like again, no right or wrong way. Maybe less safe ways, but no right or wrong way. So I really love this analogy of like, okay, imagine like a snowy hill, which should be easy for you to imagine like the snowy hill. And you take your sled to the top of the hill and you slide down the hill. And then you go back up and you take that same path down the hill. And it is very quick that you have this groove set into the snow, right? So our brain is very much like that. We have this experience, we just naturally flow to this outcome. When you use psychedelics, it allows for a reset. So it's fresh powder, fresh snow. So that these pathways that you've always been going down, you now have access to different pathways. And you see that a lot in thought patterns, self-talk, especially around self-doubt, self-criticism. But it could be something like creativity. It's like, oh, well, every time I paint, I've always painted still life. And all of a sudden they're like, wow, what about like watercolor and abstract and expressionism and all these other different ways? So it gives you the opportunity to create new neural pathways. So instead of point A takes me to point C, it's like, oh, A could actually go to any letter.
Hmm.
And harnessing that window of neuroplasticity after you have a psychedelic experience is so useful. So the people who are like, wow, okay, I've been microdosing and suddenly I feel more creative. Great. Focus on that. Make that the intention is, okay, I'm going to focus on my creativity. Not having an intention, you leave it up to your experience, which can be great. But again, like having that focus of like, okay, I'm going to work through some creative blocks, or I'm going to work through some self-harming behaviors, or whatever the thing is, because it's really quite endless. Using it in some kind of pointed way. Really, it's for you to just like have a little bit of a guide. Because yeah, I'm not against, hey, I want to unlock that ability to play again and to be a kid and to have that childlike wonder. Great intention. I love that. But keep that focus on your mind as you're either, microdosing or in ceremony and keep it, right? Because that neuroplasticity window is 2 weeks. So 2 weeks of like, where do I set my focus so that this is getting ingrained, that there are new ways of doing these things. I hope that answers that.
That's so interesting about just the 2 week time span and the neuroplasticity, because I mean, I think there's a lot of science that's coming out around the use of this, right? I know I've seen Harvard studies and Yale studies around, the use of this with OCD, PTSD, and multiple other, kind of more focused on a certain population.
Mhm.
Um, but the results have been astounding. I mean, really so fascinating, right? And I think one thing about this conversation and why I thought it was interesting to kind of bring you on is just bringing more awareness to just a different modality that could work for somebody, right? There's so many different ways to unlock the brain and, I don't love to use, but like trauma and just even creativity and just like understanding your body on a whole nother level. So whether this resonates with you or not, I think just keeping an open mind and learning is very interesting. Um,
Mhm.
so with that being said, is there any other kind of information that you would want somebody to know if they were interested in psilocybin or, psychedelics that somebody might benefit from?
Yes. Yes. So I went through the Vital Psychedelics program, which was lovely. I was actually wearing that shirt earlier. I'm sad I took it off. And that was a year-long, really high-level view on the field of psychedelics, ethics, safety protocol, um, just really looking at a very wide angle for psychedelic use. And Kyle Buller, who is a rock star, if you don't follow him, you should. He always described psychedelics as a non-specific amplifier, meaning that whatever is alive gets bigger.
Mm,
So if you are experiencing, maybe we'll say depression, right? Like if you're having this experience of depression, okay, it's going to allow that to be amplified for the purpose of some kind of breakthrough or some kind of resolution that wasn't able to happen. So when you talk about PTSD or CPTSD, yep,
Mhm.
so many initials in there. You know, what happens many times is okay, there's a trigger, and then there's this physiological response because they're taken back to this time period. So with psychedelics, that feeling could be then amplified again for the purpose of, okay, we're bringing it to the surface from the subconscious to work with this material in a new way and simultaneously allowing your brain on a literal physiological level to be rewired and to be rerouted. So I would say yes to creativity, yes to childlike wonder, yes to all of that. And just knowing that the subconscious is this glorious realm of uncharted territory that if we're lucky, we get to go sometimes. But when we use psychedelics, again, it's that non-specific amplifier. So whatever might be in there might say, hello, I've been waiting for this time to talk to you and to show you these things that have been on your mind, even if you don't know about it. So it's it does not have to be a challenging experience, but I think having that awareness that challenges can arise and things that want your attention can arise.
Mm.
And the purpose is not to harm you, but to bring your awareness, bring your loving attention, and hopefully give you this time to interact with this material in a new way for resolution. I think that's something that I would bring into that because yes, many interesting things do come up. You know, I told you that when I first went into that original ceremony, I expected that I would work on, oh my gosh, what do I do with my life? That's not what came up. The first thing that came up was my relationship with food, and
Mm.
then my relationship with the concept of motherhood, and then my
Mm.
relationship with my family of origin and my dad. So all of these things that were not on my agenda that were still working in my subconscious, boom, they had this moment to actually express themselves. And those were some challenging themes. So, you know, I would just say again, research people who are in the field who have this context for you, the safety protocols for you, and just remembering that if challenges arise, they're there for your betterment. They're there to help set you free, even though it's challenging.
Such a fascinating conversation because, I work with bioenergetics and bioresonance, and when I'm scanning a client and talking about them, what they think is important, their body might steer me in a different direction. What they think they want to work on. I work a lot with clients with food and, metabolic hormone gut issues, which we all know stems from deeper issues, but they go in being like, oh, put me into a parasite cleanse. And I'm like, tell me about your childhood. Like,
Yes,
you
yes,
know,
totally.
what,
Yeah.
what about this? And I see all these like there's a generational emotional mapping, even scan, and there's all these things that come up and they don't, they're not even subconscious, but their body is telling me a different story than what consciously their mind, wants. And that's the power of working with energetics as well as, the physical. But it's so interesting. I'll see that a lot with motherhood. Parents is a huge one, right? And money is a big one. I know you work with a lot, this generational
Mhm,
stress that's not only maybe carrying on currently, but also generationally shows up a lot for people, along with self-worth.
mhm,
Huge one. Um,
mhm.
and, especially when you talk about the body, and you want to change the body and you don't want to address this as you're going to hit a roadblock. And I know you work with old beliefs, even things like money. And I'd be curious on your thoughts, especially working with startups. This is a big one. There's a lot of fear around it. And so, how do you specifically approach more of the money conversation for entrepreneurs or startups?
Yes. Isn't it funny that when we talk about one thing, we talk about everything?
Oh,
That
yeah.
is so true. Yes. Mhm. I have worked a lot with money because I grew up with this really weird, like, such contrasting childhood things. So,
Mm.
on one hand, there was tons of abundance, and on one hand, there was tons of poverty. So, I got extremely mixed messages about money in particular, especially growing up with a very conservative religious background. Money was basically evil.
Mm.
Like, money was the root of all evil. If you are after money, you're greedy. It really, really damaging money messaging until probably, I'd say maybe 8 years ago, when I started to realize, okay, so maybe those stories are just stories,
Mm.
and maybe there's a different, beautiful way, not only to work with money, but to relate to money. So, one of the first things that I'll do with a client who's like, "Ooh, I want to start a business, but I actually think rich people suck." Oh, okay. Tell me more, right?
Mhm.
Also funny because I'm wearing my Lakshmi pendant right now, and she's like the goddess of wealth. So I'm like, ah, doing that. The first thing that I like to introduce is I'll ask you directly, what kind of wife, partner, lover do you want to be? How do you want to be known as a wife, a lover, a partner? Just give me some adjectives that you would use.
For myself?
Mhm.
Oh, okay. Kind, respected, passionate,
Yeah.
knowledgeable,
Hmm.
mm, and joyful.
Yeah. Now, what if we take all of that and we direct that towards your relationship with money? Instead of money being a thing, because it is a beautiful tool, but instead of it being like this thing that we project onto, what if we work with it in a relational way? So I actually want to be kind to money, and I want money to be kind to me. I want to be knowledgeable with money, and I want money to be knowledgeable with me. And so when you start to look at it through that relational lens, even you can give it an avatar, right? Like some people get really into that and they'll
Mhm.
like create this vision of who their friend, money, can look like. Like, who are they?
Hmm.
And then it's a conversation. It's like, hey, money, I'm starting this business and I'm actually really scared to get close to you because I have no idea what that's like. So again, you give this, it's like tapping into that creativity, that imagination of like, how can I relate to money in a way that allows me to actually voice the fears that I have and then start to get into right relationship instead of like, I'm scared of you, but I really, really want you, right? Or like voicing that and working with that.
Mm.
Um, And so that's such a beautiful place to start. If anyone's like, wow, I really want more money and I have no idea how to do that. Give money some kind of image, avatar, identity, and work with them like they are your best friend, your lover, your partner, because you want them to be respectful. You want them to be engaged. You want them to be present instead of just like, money. I don't even want to talk about money. Blah.
Mm.
Like just in my mouth, money. It's like, what if you loved it and allowed it to love you so that you can be generous with yourself and others, right?
Mm.
Like we have this idea that, okay, if I have a lot of money, I'm going to become a monster and self-centered and greedy. And it's like, actually, with all of the money and all of the wealth, I can help my family. I can invest in other companies, which all of those things will literally change the world. So it's this amplifier for the intentions that I already hold. And now I have the opportunity to pass that along because I have it. So I can give it.
Mm.
So that's huge. And then I'll say one more thing because I could talk about money a lot. Actually, I have a money talk coming up. I'm very excited about it. Before you ever look at your bank account, I want you to stop, pause, connect with a feeling of gratitude for whatever is there, and then open your bank account. Really, I mean, try it. Try it, see the difference as you consistently work with that. Pause. Even if it's, oh, I'm grateful I had money to get some boba tea. Great. I'm grateful that I could pay my bills this month. I'm grateful that I have a job at all. Whatever it is, find some way to feel gratitude. Then open your bank account, see what's there, and again, being in relationship so that you're spending in alignment with your values. And again, I could get way, way, way too into that, so I'm going to just try to cap it there. But those two things, finding an avatar to be in relationship with money, and then cultivating that gratitude before you ever interact with your money. Game
Mm,
changers.
love that. I think one of the biggest things when you talk about the brain, when you talk about money, when you talk about entrepreneurship, these are all very activating
Mm-hmm.
experience thoughts for people. And
Mm-hmm.
it can be easy to, especially with money, it's like this gratitude, yes. People don't often ground themselves in that at all. It's usually lack.
Mm-hmm.
But the biggest thing with any journey, money, entrepreneurship, whatever success looks like, health, right? It's like, how do you train the brain that what is in the physical, what is in the reality at the current moment versus where we want to go, and having that gap where there's this disconnect where, yes, you feel the gratitude or the journaling or whatever it is, that your modality is versus holding the vision when the
Mm-hmm.
reality doesn't reflect that. I know
Mm-hmm.
that's something I talk about, but I'd be so curious about your perspective.
Maybe your reality does reflect that, but maybe right now it's just 1% reflecting that. So I'm going to break that down in a more tangible way. Okay. Yeah. Well, what a beautiful problem to have. And I'm like, oh shit, I actually really like everything that's happening around me right now. Okay, let me back up. Let me back up in time. Okay. So something that I would like to do is I would like to make music and be paid for it. Okay. As of right now, that has not happened for me. So reality is I have not been paid to make music. Desire, I would like to be paid to make music. How in this moment can I access that? How can that be 1% true so that I can focus my attention on it and amplify it? So that even if it's showing up 1% in my world, I can be grateful for that and say, yes, please, more. And so, okay, I'm not currently being paid to make music, but I listen to music. I practice vocal toning. I have a super creative space that encourages me to engage with my many ways that I love to create and make art. And can I bring, okay, yes, this is a space that a singer would live. Mhm. Yes, okay. So I can be grateful for that 1%, even as I'm saying, yes, more. And maybe health. Health is a great one. People will be like, I would like to lose 10 pounds. There's the desire. But the reality is, I have those 10 pounds on my body. Okay. Well, did you start with 11 that you wanted to lose? Oh, thanks for losing that 1 pound. I feel so much lighter. I feel so vital in my body. So again, it's really that power of attention to say, you're right. I'm not at this idealized version of the future, but right now I'm bringing that idealized vision of the future into now, even if it's 1%, and giving that all of my loving attention and saying, yes, please, more of that. Yes, please, more creative spaces. Yes, please, more healthy meals. Like that's the way. And again, it's kind of that I would like to make $1 million. Right now, I do not have $1 million, but I have way more money than where I began. And I'm so grateful for that. So there's a great book. It's called The Gap and the Gain.
Hmm.
You know that one?
Hmm.
So this is kind of that exact concept is like instead of looking towards a mile, at the goalpost, that's like a mile away, measure yourself from actually how far back you started, right? Like You're much closer than when you began. So give that your attention, give that your loving energy so that it can grow. And you're saying to source energy, God, goddess, Lakshmi, yes, more, please. More of this, more boba money, more money to travel. Yes,
Boba money.
boba money. Line item on the budget, boba money.
I actually have a budget on mine, which is my allergen-free bakery like
Oh,
budget.
I
You
love
know,
that.
something that brings me happiness because I don't eat like I can't go to normal bakeries. So it's just like those little things that bring
Oh,
you happiness, throughout the
yes,
time.
yes.
No, but it's so great, having so many different visions and viewpoints on the podcast and how people can essentially take the same concepts but spin it in their own ways is so beautiful.
Mhm.
That's one reason I love having this. Um, and especially I love that we weaved health because I see so much with entrepreneurship or just, these high performing women that I tend to work with. It's just, yes, health and money are two really important things that weave together. And I'd be curious on any other concept that you see weaved a lot with working with your kind of avatar.
Mhm. Yeah, I mean, health is a kind of wealth. So,
Mhm.
yes. Well, I want to back up because all of this kind of reminds me of like one of my main themes that regardless of if it's business or psychedelics or health and yoga, all of it is kind of under this umbrella of designing your life
Mm,
because it does all weave together.
yeah.
And so, are you curating a life for yourself that you actually want?
Mhm.
So, let's take health. Let's take health and start there. I want to feel healthy, vibrant, vital, sexy, powerful, capable in my body. I want that. Therefore, I'm going to design within my week on a tactical level ways that that can be true. That means I'm going to go to the grocery store. Maybe I have a meal plan. I don't know. I'm going to prepare meals for myself so that I'm hitting my protein goals, hitting my calorie goals, nourishing my body, right? Like if there are any deficiencies, providing support for those things. So it takes it from this, I want to be healthy to like, okay, and I'm going to do that by Tuesday morning going to the grocery store. Wednesday afternoon is my meal prep day. Great. Same thing if it's like, okay, I want to be more active. The feeling I really want is to feel capable and powerful in my body. And I'm going to do that by lifting weights for 10 minutes 3 times a day. Great. And then you can get even more granular if you want to. But all of these things, health, wealth, entrepreneurship, being a better partner and lover, psychedelics, whatever these things are that make up your perfect ideal, holy shit, this is my life and I get to live it, whatever that is, taking it from this abstract, find the feeling, and then make it tangible in your everyday life, that is magic. That is magic. If you want something tangible and tactical right now to do, take a piece of paper, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Write out your week. And then if it's something that you're like, wow, this week sucks and I feel totally uninspired by it. Okay, like what's missing? What do we need to weave in so that you are living the kind of life you want to live through health, through wealth, through love, through success, through all of these things? Because it's really all about you deciding what's important to you and then putting it in your life and letting life also co-create with you and like bring it to you. But, we kind of let ourselves get bullied by our priorities or they like make themselves be our priorities, right? And it's okay, how can we honor that, but still honor ourselves and our own personal desires, and then also let universe, God, source also help us to co-create. So it's holding all of that, but being really intentional. What kind of life do you want to live? What kind of business do you want to create? What kind of relationship do you want to have? Great. Make it. Magic. Yes.
Wow, imagine that. Imagine that. I mean, it's an important conversation to have. I have this all the time where it's like, what who do you want to be? You keep
Mm-hmm.
telling me you want this goal, but are you living?
Hmm.
The life of somebody who has that goal. Are your values in alignment? Are your actions in alignment with that goal? And that's where I feel like the gap in the gain is so also so prevalent. It's like, I want this goal. I want to, we'll just say for me, I work with a lot of, I want to have no gut issues for the rest of my life. Amazing. But your actions are not reflecting the person
Hmm.
that has this, right? I want to have $1 million, right? But are we sitting on our butt and not doing anything, being an overwhelm and overanalysis paralysis and
Hmm.
getting frustrated that we don't have the thing that we say, but our actions not reflecting it,
Yeah.
right? Um,
Yeah, like how are you stewarding what you do have, whether that's through health, money, relationship? Like how are you stewarding that now? And are you, yeah, reflecting, yeah, I can hold more, right? In all of those domains. And that reminds me of this concept. You might have heard this, like instead of like when I have $1 million, I will do good work and be happy. It's that backwards approach, which is who do I need to be? What do I need to do so that I have whatever it is I desire? And so it's flipping it from this outcome to nope, it's me now being and doing these things so that I have this outcome. And it's possible. I think that's, if I could just leave people with like one thing is like, it's possible. The life of your dreams is possible. And like find 1% that that's true today.
Love it. And I think I'll close it out on this because this changed me and my mindset years and years ago is in this vision of kind of in the realm more of a manifestation is where I learned about, whatever it is to you is like your dominant thoughts is just 51%. It's not
Yeah.
100, So it's, your dominant thoughts are going to be what's going to drive you. And so don't have it be like, oh, I'm getting so frustrated because 90% of my thoughts are not in this right now. Just have it be just 51%. Those are going to be the
Hmm.
dominant thoughts for the day. And that was really helpful, especially coming from this very perfectionism, all or nothing mindset that so
Hmm.
many of us get trapped to. Just understanding that can also change the way that we, move day to day, right?
Hmm.
So,
Yeah,
well,
that's so gracious, so compassionate. Hmm.
yes, we feel like as a society, especially as women, we lack that a lot. Or we have
Yes.
too much of it for too many others and not for ourselves.
Everyone else but us. Yes, that's right. Yep. Hmm.
Yes. And that empathy tends to weigh on us. I actually just
Hmm.
had this conversation with a client, actually, it's fascinating in a bioresonance scan. It was showing literally that empathy was wearing her down so
Hmm.
much. And so while we could get into the nitty-gritty of nutrition and hormones and gut and all this, is like, but where are our boundaries, not just in time, but in our energy?
Hmm.
And not that empathy is a bad thing, but when it starts taking over our life and our body, it can very negatively impact us on a very physical level. But I digress.
Yes. Yes. I'm like, I know. I'm like, oh, I could go on that. And I'm like, oh,
I know. We can go
another
down so
time,
many
another
tangents.
time.
But Emily, thank you so much for being here. And if people wanted to connect more with you, where can they find you?
Yes. So my wisdom or my website is wisdommindbody.com. Instagram, wisdom mind body. I do have two things coming up on August 12th. I'm hosting a class here in Colorado Springs. It's called DBA Creatives. And I will post more information on Wisdom Mind Body on Instagram. And again, I'll post on Instagram on August 22nd and 23rd. There is a health and wellness expo, and I'm going to be giving a talk called Budgeting for Abundance, where we're going to go in on money. So, very excited for those things to happen.
Cool. I'm glad I brought up the money combo today. We're just
Yes,
getting
yes.
juices flowing. Amazing. Well, check her out, guys. I will put her information in the show notes. Emily, thank you for being here. Listeners, always appreciate you being here.
Mm,
Hopefully, this was a very enlightening and fun conversation for you guys. And we'll catch you on the next show. Thank you for being here, Emily.
thank you.